we mechanised agriculture as much as we possibly could at the time, and we did that with largely one type of tractor, the Model 840. But also quite a number of tractors came over on limited ships from America as part of the exchange arrangement between our government and America. And those tractors which came over from America are very, very sophisticated in comparison to everyone on the head. Then in the post-war period, we saw tremendous push for mechanized British farming as well as Ford farming as well. And Britain was in quite a good place then, because we had a lot of industrial tractors. So somewhere like the Vale factory up in Coventry, which was making Coventry aero engines during the Second World War, that was really important to the Model D20 tractor from Ferguson. And equally, the Nuffield range of tractors were made at Ward End, which has been producing French gun carriers during the Second World War. Over that period, Britain became the most prolific manufacturer of agricultural tractors in the world. 80% of the production went for export. There was a great sort of balance of payment situation, and we not only had a great choice in this country of tractors for our own farmers, but we were taking them to on the road. Certainly something like the T20 Ferguson did more to revolutionise farming on a worldwide scale than any other tractor really in history. All of this continued really up until the early 1980s, and then there was quite a bit of rationalisation with various manufacturers actually fixing trades, making tractors, or actually being amalgamated with other ones. So the big five volume producers of the post-war period were the Ferguson, David Brad, Nuffield and International Harvester. Well, we don't really have any of those sectors in the country now. We have still making smart tracks and all of their cultivation and building related equipment. And all those now new Wood, who are a division of Fiat, they make tractors at the old Ford factory. So we still do make tractors in this country, but nowhere near the numbers that we were 30 to 40 years. We still have, though, a lot of machinery manufacturers in this country, and that's a good thing. So it's not all doom and gloom. All the tractors you see today still do the job that they designed for. They still work. The reason why they're not being used now is because the style, scale of farming has changed that of all the conditions. Everything is that much larger, everything is done that much quicker now, there are fewer people employed on the land, and as a result, all of these tractors, they all had their heyday on the run, but they've all been rendered obsolete because of course they're no good really now for commercial farming on the scale that we have in this country. Most of them are recycled, renewable, replaceable, and largely still available, which makes them attractive on the eco-friendly side of things because they're recyclable. And if you did recycle and renew and replace things more regularly, you wouldn't have the carbon being burnt up with the new production of a new tractor. So they come in all shapes and sizes, all different colours, some wonderfully clean and pristine, others, well, a little rusty, a little oily, a little dirty, but still capable of doing the job that they were designed for originally. So we're going to stack them up in a minute, and I'm going to walk from one to another, try and talk to you about them as best I can. The answer to this job is to try and make the 10th Ferguson tractor that you see sound as interesting as the first one, because you inevitably see a lot of those at shows because there were a lot of them made. Right, we've got one parked up now. This is the Massey Ferguson 188, about 75 horsepower. This 1970 tractor, launched in 1971. Deluxe range of tractors for Massey Ferguson, building on the success of the Red Giant range. So this one would have been aimed at farming contractors and larger farmers. It's got a spacer unit actually in the gearbox. So they're a little bit longer than the conventional 185, which is like a super spec version of. But a highly successful design, in production for about 4 years, and fitted with multi-power, which was a change on the move gearing system, giving a 30% increase and 30% decrease in the forward speed of the tractor in a flick of a switch. The 178 was building on the success of the 175, 72 horsepower engine, launched in 1968 and in production up until 1971. And all these tractors, the Massey Ferguson, were fitted with Perkins engines because Massey bought the company in 1959 as their own in-house engine manufacturer. The 65 was launched in 1957 at the Smithfield show, and it was the tractor which Massey Ferguson needed to do a job against the likes of the Duffield and the Forster Major. Harry Ferguson had his way. They would have built the LTX, which was going to be a world-beating tractor. It was like an enlarged version of the TE20. But by 1953, the amalgamation of the two companies, Massey Harris and Massey Ferguson, happened, and so this was the resulting tractor. Nice to see this little handy little a little Mayfield this is. Mayfield cultivator, you've adapted it across this little trailer, which is really handy. Yeah, so you can take the family out or go get some shopping. Yeah, you remind me of Tom Good in The Good Life. Remember he used to use that Howard Jem, wasn't it? Yeah, that's right. Well, the Ferguson TM20 now, owned by the Chandler family from nearby Alderton, and this one was supplied new by Vale tractors up in Evesham, and the chap sat on this tractor actually used to work for them as part of his apprenticeship. It's fitted with a mill loader, and that saves a lot of back-breaking work because it uses hydraulic power as a lift for anything really, but it's got pallet forks fitted onto it, but you could actually put a muck fork on there or a bucket as well. And that's actually got the tiltable ram as well, so that was an add-on extra actually. Nice to see a Fordson here. These were launched in this colour in 1937 in the Harvest Gold colour scheme. Ford brought their tractor manufacturing plant to Dagenham in 1933, but the original tractors were blue. They had a water bath air cleaner, but by 1937 they came up with a new tractor and they modified the cylinder head, and it gave all sorts of problems with the starting propensities of this tractor. When war broke out in 1939, these were a big target for the Luftwaffe on the docks at Dagenham and of course out in the fields, so they started then to pay for the breed. The 3000 was launched in 1964 as a direct replacement for the Fordson Super Dexter. This was the new worldwide range of tractors, which was launched by Ford coincidentally at the same time as Massey Ferguson. And the 4000 was the direct replacement really for the Fordson Super Major in terms of its power rating. Originally about 55 horsepower, this is the 62 horsepower version launched in 1968. And these are the Ford Force range of tractors. Nicely restored pair, gentlemen. Congratulations, done a nice job on those. Nice to see a wartime Fordson now. By 1943, the steel was in very short supply, so they cut down the mud guards. They no longer wrapped around the wheels, and also even the toolbox was an economy cut down version. So this has actually got the cast axle on the front. A lot of them, including the one that I've got, has actually got a flame cut one, because they actually ran out of cast axles at one time. Production carried on until 1945. nice to see a Ford to major conversion and a reminder too of the strength of the rear axle and the gearbox of the Ford to major. And many of these are used as tractor puller projects, and many people who start tractor pulling use the Ford to major with the major gearbox and rear axle because of its high strength, and it absorbs all that extra power. Ford actually never made their own 6-cylinder version of this tractor, but it didn't stop Roland and County from doing that. Nice to see the twin-cylinder petrol-powered dumper truck. The mobile barbecue. What a great idea that was. Rear steer, a really useful piece of equipment for the truck, and great innovation here is the mobile. Nice to see some of these here at this show. The Case 1594, 1694 range tractors, powered by David Brown's own 5.4 litre engine. Incidentally, this is all like in the 50G tractor, and they had all sorts of problems with the cylinder head warping, so they got over it by fitting actually 2 separate cylinder heads on this 6-cylinder tractor. And this is the era when Case were in control of David Brown and the famous David Brown name. Nice to see a 1965 here, and these tractors were launched in 1964 as a direct replacement for the 65. About 60 horsepower, and that would have been more than adequate for most farms really as a high horsepower tractor at its time. The idea with the worldwide range was to have a common range of tractors and a common range of components so you kept production costs down. The PW25 was a high horsepower tractor for its time, starting in 24 now actually. Weighted back on the front, and it's also got the provision so that the tractor can actually have equipment on the front and on the back as well. That's got the central bonnet from the PW35. Nice to see an 8100 here, and these were built in conjunction with county commercials who were great tractor converters, and they converted all sorts of things, and Ford were able to sell those conversions actually at their dealerships. So they got involved with the 8100, and this is based around the Ford industrial engine, so they actually had to create something for that engine to sit in underneath, actually specially adapted frame. So a very short production run for the 8100, so it's quite a rarity. Early 80s design, and fitted with the dual power, which was obviously their version of the Massey Ferguson